So you can see just behind them, as Brian zooms out, you see that dark carcass there. They've got a buffalo. Hello, kitty cats. So, as I was saying, in these drought conditions, we've noticed the lions taking down a lot more buffalo. And these will be either young, that looks like it could be an old cow. I'm just going to check in my binoculars quickly. What do you think, Brian? So from what I can see of the horns, it does look like an adult female, but she does look quite skinny. This carcass looks quite fresh, so it could have happened this morning. And they're very full already, so they have been hunting very successfully for the last little while. Look at that little moment of tenderness. That touching of faces and things like that's very important for lions, especially since when they start eating in earnest, they can become very aggressive with each other. Being the only social cat, those little moments are the moments that help them reaffirm the bonds between the pride, and obviously a close pride is a successful pride. Now look at this lady cleaning herself here, and she's been right into the stomach contents, and that's what's all over her face and her paws. So often with a lot of the big cats, the first thing that gets eaten is the liver, lungs, heart, lots of nutrients in there. And you can see they've now resting up. Still a lot of meat here, so that's good news for us. We can definitely have these lions for a day or two. A bit of distasteful something there. Dylan in Iowa is, thanks for another question, Dylan. Dylan saw Mumps, Tristan's tracker, carrying a red thing, and I briefly mentioned that it was a catapult. Dylan would like to know whether it's similar to an ash bag. Quite the opposite, Dylan. It is a catapult. So if the lions get cheeky, Mumps will fire marula berries at rapid rate towards the lions to keep them at bay. So no, not an ash bag. So Kim B can't get over how dirty this particular Incorma lioness's face is. So Kim, that's a mixture of blood, stomach content, and probably a bit of soil as well. And you can see how she's now starting to clean herself. So she'll look pretty and priceless in a little while again. So Keith on Twitter is wondering why they're panting so heavily. Keith, it's because they've got full bellies. So they're in the digestive process, it produces heat, and there we go. You can see she's not that full, but the others have a sort of extended bellies already. Looks like she might go have a feed. So no, still. Do you know what? This is probably quite a recent kill, so a combination of full bellies and exertion is the reason that they're panting. There you can see one of those wonderful full bellies. And when you're walking on foot after lions, that's what you look for. Because if they're sitting up, you can't see the color so nicely. But as soon as they lie down, that white underbelly shows up very nicely. notice how that lioness is occasionally looking up to the sky. She's checking for vultures. Lions do watch vultures quite closely as they drop. And I think we might get a few vultures around this carcass. It's not in the thickest area, but it's still a bit early for the vultures to have got moving. So it is wonderful to have the in kahunas regularly after a really long absence. So, I'll look at her. I think there could be, just by the way she's looking, there might be a hyena behind us. Jump up and have a look. So I know there were some hyenas on this road. Just the way she's looking through the bush there could be a hyena. I can't see anything. And she seems to have relaxed again. It wouldn't be one hyena to challenge a pride like this. There need to be multiple hyenas. There we go. Look at that. So Genie on Twitter was worried about Mumps, the tracker. He said, my goodness, he was really close to those lions. Genie, Mumps is a very good tracker with lots of experience, and of course he's got a catapult to defend himself, so he wasn't in any danger. So don't worry, Mumps probably has walked more lions than we've seen on SafariLive, so I wouldn't worry about Mumps in the bush. Barbara was wondering whether the dirty lioness would be the one who did the actual throat hold and kill. Barbara, it's near impossible to say, and normally not. That seems to be the one who got stuck into the belly first, and normally the one who's done the actual throat hold is quite tired, so she isn't the first to eat. She's quite often the last to eat, but from arriving at this sort of stage of a kill, it's near impossible for us to say. So Heidi in Nevada would like to know, is this buffalo kill in the area where Jamie had those elephants running earlier this morning? And is it the reason possibly why they were running? Heidi, it's not. We're quite far away from there. We're on Arathusa, on the eastern edge of Arathusa, but still probably about 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers from where those elephants were with Jamie this morning. And it's going to start heating up quite quickly, and lions are going to sleep very close to this carcass. They might drag that buffalo a little bit more into the shade, but I think it's going to be a very interesting sunset safari. And I think where these lions are now on a different clan of hyenas home range compared to the normal Juma clan, and these hyenas are far more aggressive than our Juma clan when it comes to lions. So it could be a very interesting sunset safari. very picturesque at the moment with the nice green shoots around the lions. So hopefully this is going to be a good year for the Nkuhuma Pride. Last year was quite a tough year. They lost a couple of members being killed by the Birmingham boys, but now it's settled down a little bit. So hopefully towards the end of the year we'll be seeing some cubs. So while these lions are flat cats, Jamie's got a feathered friend for you guys to look at quickly.
And we're sorry to interrupt you, although thrilled thrilled to hear that you found the lions. And since my bird decided not to play nicely, having sat there for about 2 minutes, I think I'm going to send you back. Bless you, Andrew. I think I'm going to send you. Bless you, Andrew. Andrew says, sorry, everyone. He got dust up his nose. I'm going to send you back across to Brent. I'm making my way to some pans to have a look what we find there. So we'll catch up with you shortly when we actually have something that hasn't flown away.
So we're just popping around the back of the lions. Let's go have a look at this buffalo. It's actually a bit younger than I initially thought, so I can just see it through there. So it is a female. It's a young female. And you can see there that there's still a lot of hair on the horns, which denotes the age. And look at those flies. Is that incredible? Oh. And they fed off the rump a little bit. So Margaret was wondering whether it was a large or small buffalo. Well, Margaret, there we go. It's a sub-adult. So an in-betweener, if you like. And it's very, very large. They're not blowflies. I've forgotten the name of that fly species now. Sure. Let's have a quick look. But you can see, look at that. So if you look at the nose carefully there, it looks like they also the lions used that sort of nose hold that we saw when this pride took down that buffalo bull a couple of months ago. And get onto the nose, basically that sink their canine through the nose, and as well as using the throat hold, the lions will speed up the killing process by the buffalo drowning on its own blood, by basically bleeding out of its nose, and as it tries to breathe, it just takes blood down into its lungs. There we go. I found the fly. It is a regal blowfly that is on the nose. That's the name I couldn't remember. And there's a bit of aloe grooming happening, Brian, if we pop up to the lions. Oh, sorry, I was looking in my book. Sorry, Brian. So there we go. So very important. Look at that, chewing on the air almost. So Mark Kilbury is wondering whether these lions are elephant hunters. Well, not today, Mark. Today they're buffalo hunters. But one must remember that animal behavior is far more area specific than species specific. Lions in the Sabi Sands don't really hunt elephants at all. Chobe, Savuti, Linyanti, Kwondo areas in Botswana, they hunt elephants there regularly. And also depends on the climate situation, and with the Savuti marsh drying up and those areas becoming very dry during certain times of the year, elephants are the only prey species available to those lions, so they've learned it's not normal behavior. Generally, lions are huge fans of buffalo, giraffe, zebra, wildebeest, so hunting elephants is out of the ordinary. But as I said, we must remember that animal behavior is rather area specific than species specific. Did you hear that? So even though the buffalo is expired, it's still got dung, and the dung beetles are landing to come get some of that stomach content that's been pulled out by the lions. Oh, look at that. You can see all the green on her stomach there. And she's been literally lying in the stomach content, and that's... This lioness went off for a wander, but she's on her way back now. Oh, she's going to flop down with that big belly. Off. Well, we've got a question from another vehicle. I could put the camera on, but I'll be nice and not do that. So Tristan's guests, actually, I went to school with him, and he's trying to be funny, so we'll embarrass him on live National Geographic TV here. So he'd like to know, do lions eat each other? Well, actually in the Sabi Sands, that happens more often than not. And 2 lionesses from this pride were killed by a coalition of 5 male lions and eaten by them last year. So it does happen. It is unusual, but it does happen.
Thank you very much.
So look at that. A little bit more aloe grooming going on. A little bit of playing. So Brenda from Virginia is wondering, does it look like the kill was made somewhere else and the lions have dragged under the bush? If I get Brian to come out wide here, and you can see there's quite a lot of disturbed soil up ahead of us, around there. So probably, but I think the actual kill actually took place right underneath Tristan. If we look under Mumps and Tristan, under their vehicle is where the actual kill took place, and then I do think they have dragged it into the shade. So guys, there's quite a lot of vehicles standing by for this sighting. So we're going to spend a few more minutes and then we're going to move out. Kathy in Memphis, Tennessee, both are thinking along the same lines. Is it how long before a hyena is likely to arrive at a kill like this? And also, are there any hyena in the area? There are hyena in the area. The other vehicle saw 5, and I'm quite sure they were attracted by the sound of this buffalo kill. They do make quite a noise while they are expiring, so that sort of noise will attract the hyenas. But they probably want to gather a few more numbers before challenging the lions. There we go. Doesn't she look comfy? Or actually the opposite of comfy with that fat belly. So lions have a very fast digestive system compared to other animals, and they are able to consume large amounts of meat and sleep for a while, and then start feeding again shortly. So I probably find the first hyena would have heard the lions take down the buffalo. I think this probably happened in the early hours of this morning, and would have come to investigate. And that's why I said I think this evening is going to be incredibly interesting, and to see how many hyenas are attracted to this carcass. And there's only 4 lionesses here to defend it. So we're going to have a last quick look before we give. Oh, wait, let's see if we can see something. No. Before we give the other vehicles a chance to come in here. This is the only lions being found this morning, so there's a bit of a queue, and we are nice people and we like to share with everyone else. And they would do the same for us. And there we go, she's eating a little bit of grass to aid digestion. So we'll wait for it to finish snacking. A very good sort of observation from Anna McDougall, who asked, are lions the only cat to show such great sexual dimorphism? That is very, very well noted. They are. All the other cats, even though the males are obviously a lot larger, they still look similar, whereas a male lion with his mane looks quite different from a lioness. And it is incredible sexual dimorphism. It's probably got something to do with them being the only social cat as well. So the competing for females and for mating has caused those males to produce that large mane that protects them while they're fighting. Okay, guys, so we're going to have to skedaddle. And I know we'll definitely be back here on the Sunset Safari, but I don't think too much action's going to happen. I think we're going to sleep. So hopefully when we get back here on the Sunset Safari, they'll be a little bit more active. I'm just going to wait for, here's that Roy to come in, and then we'll move out. Roy, who's next after you? So I didn't copy you.
Yeah, but you can email the channel next time. You can, the next time I can come in for you.
Copy, thanks.
That's
So you guys just doing a bit of game drive admin. Okay, so as I said, they're not going to. Tristan's kindly given us a spot to stay a bit longer, so we're going to. And we'll just wait for the next vehicle to come a bit closer before we move out. And it is great to spend some time with these lovely ladies. Our next station can start making their way as soon as you get close. I'll move out for you.
Way north next to Team Division is not too great. The one of them van van die in the
So a huge SafariLive welcome to Samaya Patel, who's a new viewer, and she's wondering why the in Kahuma Pride do not have any males or cubs. So what's happened is they do have males, they're the Birmingham males. So male lions will often have sometimes up to 3 different groups of females that they lord over, and they're out patrolling territory, so they don't always spend all their time with the females. And the reason they don't have cubs at the moment is because there's the new set of males have come in. They've started mating with them, but for the first 3 months that the new males are with the pride, they will have a false estrus, so they won't produce any cubs. So only 6 months later, they're more than likely to start producing cubs. And the reason for that is for the lionesses not to expend that huge amount of energy it takes raising and rearing cubs. They have a false estrus, so just to make sure that the new males will stay around. So that's why there are no cubs, but hopefully towards the end of the year, we'll start seeing some cubs. In Kentucky would like to know, do lions ever get as close to the camp as leopards? Yes, Virginia, they often, not that often in the last while, but earlier on, they will quite often get very close to the camp. I've actually watched the Nkuhuma Pride walk about 5 meters from final control. They've even walked past, or they've walked past our house quite a few times, and the DRC. Now, as cuddly as a lion looks, you definitely wouldn't want one in your bed. A lioness like this, quite a big animal, probably weighs about 150 kilograms. Very happy cats, nice fat and flat. As I said, not much happening here. Hopefully there'll be a bit more action on the sunset safari. Oh, there we go, there was some action. So we can see those nice black marks behind the ears. A following mechanism that's used for cubs to follow the females through the bush, as well as for visual indications during the hunting. So while we spend the last few minutes with these flat cats, Jamie's got a beautiful little insect to show you.
And they don't really come much more beautiful than this fire grid burnet moth that's currently sucking up a drop of water that I spread across my hand. I wanted to see if that's what he was after. It's exactly what he was after. Sucking it up with that long proboscis, desperately looking for moisture. There he goes. It was quite a difficult process to get him to actually find the water and get onto it. So unfortunately, I don't think it's something that we can repeat, but look how incredible this moth looks in the sun. The colors are absolutely extraordinary. And apropos what we were saying, apropos what we were saying about the aposematic coloring, here he goes, past my monkey, my enormous monkey orange injury. I'm quite devastated, it's not more it's not more significant. And up my arm. But aposematic coloring, that bright coloring that insects take on, is something that is so clever as a way of warning animals that this is toxic. As to whether or not it actually is, I'm not entirely sure. It could be an example of perfect aposematic coloring. So this could well be toxic. Or it could just be clever mimicry, pretending to be something that's toxic or poisonous, as we discussed earlier. Isn't he cool? Such a beautiful little bug. Daytime moth. It is a moth species, not a butterfly. One of the few ones that we see during the day, and still trying to lap up any moisture he can get by wandering around on my skin. That's what he's after. He's after my sweat. Here he goes. Awesome to see. So a fire grid burnet. I'm making, bye-bye, well timed. Making sure that we know what it is, because Margaret, you didn't know what bird that was, and of course I was so busy laughing at the fact that it flew away. Yes, Margaret, you're absolutely right. It was a European roller that we were looking at that decided to play camera shy. And just quickly, while I've got you here so that I can move on, we were talking about civets and millipedes, and here we've got a perfect track of both. The train track is the millipede, the 2-track wandering along the sand. And although the light isn't the best for showing you civet tracks, these little round tracks are those of a civet walking down the road. They're like, I can almost describe them as a perfectly miniature little leopard tracks. We're going to move on and look for more wonders of the bush to show you, but I'm going to send you back over to Brent so you can spend your last few moments with the lions.
So, welcome back. We're just going to have one last look at the beautiful ladies of the Nkahuma Pride, and we're going to head off back towards Juma. So, flat cats, not much action happening here, but it'll be very interesting to see what's happening on the Sunset Safari. Well done, ladies. Thanks for another question, Michael. Michael would like to know if there's social hierarchy amongst the lionesses and the pride. Not really. They're almost all equal. It's quite different from males, but there's a very different social hierarchy. Sorry guys, I just need to concentrate to get out of here quickly. There we go. Goodbye, Buffalo. Goodbye, Lions. And goodbye, Roy.